Hey adventurers, we're doing a little bit of a different type of haul for you today. Books you've probably seen us talk about already or in a different haul. But what we're doing today is books that Booktube or Bookstagram influenced us to buy. A lot of the books I have are partially influenced by Instagram or Bookstagram and other sources. I know maybe I heard of one and then someone recommended it to me and then I'm like, oh sure, I'll buy that. But yeah, these are the ones that we think came most directly from Bookstagram or Booktube.
I don't remember the exact order that I bought these in, so I'm just gonna go with whatever I think is right. And the first one that I remember buying being directly influenced from Booktube is The Dead Zone by Stephen King. This is less about the specific book and more the author. I've known about Stephen King for most of my life, and I never really cared about reading him, but then I started watching Booktube and people would talk about Stephen King and I was like, okay, well I want to at least try it. I'm not a massive horror fan, but I've also never tried enough to know. So I wanted to try one, and so then we Googled it and found which one was supposedly a good one, a good Stephen King to read, and or a good Stephen King entry point. And so I chose The Dead Zone and I bought it, and I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna get to it hopefully this year.
The first book that Bookstagram influenced me to buy was Brand of Light by Ronnie Kindig. I saw this around a lot on Instagram. It has a really eye-catching cover, and then I got to hear the author speak at an online writing workshop I went to, and a lot of other students were raving about her works. So initially it started with Bookstagram, and then all the other influence from her herself and the other authors, or the other young writers, absolutely loving her books made me want to try it. So that's that.
The next one that I was influenced to buy is The Dragon Reborn, which is book 3 of the Wheel of Time series. Technically, I've known about the Wheel of Time and I've wanted to read the Wheel of Time for a lot longer than just since I've been watching Booktube, but I never bought them. The first two, I own the first 3 books and I haven't read any of them yet. But the first 2 I didn't buy, they were gifts, so I couldn't include them. But book 3, I was influenced to actually buy it because, yes, I have book 1 and 2, but I hadn't read them yet. But I was influenced to buy it because I wanted the whole series, and I had heard such great things from Booktube about this series.
So the next book that I thought of was The Story Peddler by Lindsay A. Franklin. This is one, I saw the cover on Bookstagram and I loved it. It's a really, really beautiful cover. I had heard the author's name a couple times, and so I was a little bit familiar with her name, and yeah, I decided to give this one a try, mostly due to the cover. It's a stunning cover.
And then I have Foundation by Isaac Asimov. I believe this is the first book in the Foundation series. I don't know much about it. It's science fiction, and Isaac Asimov is considered one of the science fiction greats. Like, anybody who's read science fiction knows Isaac Asimov pretty much. I heard that from Booktube, I've heard that this is a pretty good starting point for Isaac Asimov, and so I was like, okay, let's try it. I really don't know much. I'm not very into sci-fi at this point, but I'd like to try and get into it, and I knew Isaac Asimov was a good choice, so that's what I went with.
So another book that I loved from the cover that I purchased because of the cover is Dust by Kara Swanson. You guys have probably heard me talk about this if you've been around the channel at all recently. It's another one of those covers that is so fantastic, and yeah, beautiful cover. It worked. It worked.
Then I have Assassin's Apprentice, which is book 1 in the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb. I honestly had not heard of Robin Hobb. Well, that's not even true. I'd seen little quote blurbs on the front of books before that had her name after them, but I didn't know who she was. I didn't know that she was a writer. I didn't know that she was a very well-known fantasy writer. And then I started watching Booktube and I heard it, and I heard about the Farseer Trilogy and how really good it was and really well done it was, and I was like, okay, I'll buy it. But I really only picked it up because I found it at our local thrift store.
The next book that sold me was actually another one that sold me by the cover, and that was Scorpio Races by Maggie Stifter. Another fantastic cover, very beautifully done, and yeah, this one I think I saw on Bookstagram, and I may have heard someone mention it before then because I know a lot of people who really like Maggie Stifter's writing, so yeah.
And the last book that I have on this list. I think I've got a couple more that I could make an argument for, but I'm not going to. So the last one that I have is Breach of Peace by Daniel Green. Daniel, of course, is a booktuber, and when I heard that he was writing a book, I said, I'll try it. I like his booktube channel. I think he's a great booktuber, and so I wanted to try and see what his writing was like, and it's his first novel, so I figured, hey, why not? And so yeah, this one I was really directly influenced by Booktube to buy.
So the last book I actually have is more of the author themselves, and that's Agatha Christie, well-known mystery writer, and I had heard, watching Booktube, I had heard a lot about Agatha Christie. My mom also loved reading Poirot and things like that, watching adaptions of Poirot. So I'd heard the names before, and then through Booktube and seeing how much people love them, I decided I wanted to try it. The first book I read of hers was And Then There Were None, and that's by far my favorite. It was a digital, I think it was an audiobook actually. But yeah, so the book I have here is an Agatha Christie by the pricking of my thumbs, which I haven't actually read yet, but I think all of my Agatha Christie books have been, that was really started through Booktube, so. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was a fun video for you all. Please like it if you haven't already.
We post videos every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for watching. Stay warm.